If you're happy and you know it, learn some stuff. If you're happy and you know it, let the world know that you know it, or maybe not. How much do you know? How much do you want to know? And I often ask those questions because obviously as a director of an education college and learning is my passion. I love it. I'm always interested in what other people want to know and how passionate other people are about learning. The reverse of that, I also understand people that hate learning because I hated school, finished school before the end of year 9. So technically my education, my orthodox normal education is pretty ordinary. But ever since the day I left school, I've been studying, learning, educating myself, self-educating over and over and over of all the stuff that I'm excited about. So I'm always wanting to, with passion and enthusiasm, help people to learn faster, more effectively, and I'm always looking at ways to get information into my brain faster, and more importantly, not just to get it in, but to keep it in, remember it, be able to use it and apply it. So if you're the same, you really want to learn and you want to remember and you want to be really good at something, whatever it is, then there's some things that the experts suggest we should all be doing when it comes to learning. So the first one, and the reason I'm outside, fresh air, sunshine, snow-capped mountains, it's just a better place to learn. And I'm going to ask that question very passionately. Why do we put people inside air-conditioned situations, sitting people on their bum? Like, why do we sit down to learn? Obviously, the human body doesn't learn well sitting down because the human body doesn't function well sitting down. You take all the biggest muscles, the biggest engine in your body, and you put them on a chair. So you take out of action the things that would get blood flow happening even more effectively. You have to hold yourself in the upright position. It's one of the reasons why we get tired, or some people get tired when they stand up all the time. I've got to sit down because I'm tired. Well, that's because your body's being used just to hold yourself upright. Your abdominals, your lower back muscles, well, all the muscles in your body have to work to hold you in the upright position. So I always ask, why do we learn sitting down? And why do we learn inside? Or the reverse, wouldn't it be awesome if we didn't have to ever learn sitting on our backside? And where do you want to learn? What's your exciting place to learn? And right now I'm in my university, because when I'm outside in my garden, when I'm outside, I'm always listening to something, and I pick different systems of the body to learn about constantly. So what's today? Today's the immune system. Yesterday was the cardiovascular system. Really interested, obviously, in the endocrine hormonal system, because when you're as old as I am and people talk about hormones are going to ruin your life when you're over 50, Rowie. Well, I didn't want that to happen, so I wanted to learn about the endocrine hormonal system. So I'm sharing with you, if you pick a spot that you love to learn, beach, backyard, forest, ocean, top of a mountain, on a boat. There's so many places that we can learn now because we don't have to learn inside. And of course, that's why the Max program is never, ever going to be in a classroom ever again. It's never going to be inside ever again. I want you to be learning in a place, in a space that excites you to learn. So number 1 is don't sit down. Number 2, find the space that you enjoy. Number 3, could fresh air and sunshine be a much better place to learn than in a closed air-conditioned room? And that's just a really important question to consider, because the experts tell us that yes, fresh air and sunshine really good for learning. The next thing is, before you're going to learn, the idea is to get puffed, really puffed, because when you get the endocrine system working, so epinephrine, adrenaline, cortisol, the catecholamine system, that then opens up the brain, of course, because the brain says, hey, we've got to get out of here, or we've got to turn and fight or flight, so everything gets working. And that then pumps dopamine, serotonin, and most importantly, brain-derived neurotrophic factor into your brain, which is fertilizer for your brain, so then you can learn better. So fresh air, sunshine, get puffed, and pick a spot that you really like. The next thing that's really interesting is your emotional attachment to the learning. Why is it that you want to learn this? It seems that there's a much more important the why is much more important than the what you are learning. Why are you learning this? And that's why, for me, education, learning and ongoing training has been so exciting, because I'm not learning this to pass a test, and I'm not learning this to get a qualification. I'm not learning about the human body because I had to get a university education. I'm learning about the human body every single day because I'm fascinated, excited and curious about what goes on inside the body. So when I'm out gardening, it's really cool for me because I'm working my body to its full capacity. I'm always getting puffed, lifting heavy. I do everything at 100% effort when I'm in the garden, and then I'm thinking, what muscles am I using, and where's the energy coming from, and how's the cardiovascular system working, which energy system am I in? And I'm thinking about that stuff all of the time. So I'm in my learning environment, I'm getting puffed, and I'm passionate about what I'm learning about. And I think that's a thing we might forget a little bit about, particularly with school. We give kids lots of different things to study and hope that they're going to learn all of it. Well, is it possible that when none of us are interested in everything? Would it be a good idea to find out what we are interested in? Of course. But why do we then force people to learn stuff that they don't want to learn? The reverse of that is, have we explained the why? So I'll give you a couple of examples. When you're an exercise professional, would it be a good idea to know your anatomy and physiology? And it seems like a silly question because it's like asking a mechanic, would it be a good idea to know what makes up a car and how a car works? So if you've chosen to be an exercise professional, would it be a really good idea to learn your anatomy and physiology? But not to pass the test, not to get the qualification. I always ask these questions. If a client comes to you and they've got high blood pressure, or they've got a sore ankle, or they've got a sore shoulder, or they're depressed, or they've got a sporting achievement that's got to happen. What are you going to do as an exercise professional to be able to help them achieve all of those things? And I can rattle this off with passion and enthusiasm because I believe this is what exercise professionals can do. We can prevent and cure the top killer diseases in the world. So if you understand how the human body works and how exercise can help every system in your body, it means that we can help prevent coronary heart disease, type 2 diabetes, osteoporosis, depression, most cancers, cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's, dementia, all of the medical challenges that the world is just seems stumped about, and we're just getting fatter and sicker and weaker as the days go by. As an exercise professional, we have the answers to all of those, prevention and cure. But how would we know that if we don't learn our anatomy and physiology? So there's a big why. If you've got anybody in your family that you're scared of, or could have, or have precursors to, or already have, coronary heart disease, type 2 diabetes, osteoporosis, they're depressed, they're overweight, they have heart disease in their family, there's any risk that they could get sick or they are already sick, wouldn't it be nice to be able to help them? And I always use that example because my father died of Alzheimer's and I could never understand it. It's again one of my driving forces for learning. Why does the brain get Alzheimer's and dementia? And now that I've been studying neuroscience, the central nervous system and how the human brain actually works, I really feel that my father didn't need to die so early. What we knew about the brain back then, we know so much more about it now. And if people keep learning, as we all do, if you're a professional, then we learn that there are some things we just don't have to put up with. And when my father died, everyone thought that you couldn't grow new brain cells. Well, neurogenesis now is an accepted fact. The brain can grow new brain cells, specifically when you get really puffed and pump brain-derived neurotrophic factor into your brain. So that excites me, of course, and that's my why for learning about the brain. My mother was diagnosed with advanced osteoporosis. She had a whole list of coronary heart disease challenges in the family. She was going to die of a heart attack under the age of 60 because everybody else in her family did. Well, my mother passed away peacefully in her sleep at 98. Because I had a driving force. How can I stop my mum from having a heart attack? How can I keep her heart healthy? How can I stop her from getting type 2 diabetes? And really interestingly, she had advanced osteoporosis, and thanks to K-Man and his beautiful way of explaining things simply, and shouldn't we all be able to do that, we built my mother's bones back. So you can understand why I have such an interest in the skeletal system and what orthopedic surgeons do, because my own mother went from being a decrepit old woman to being a fit, strong old woman. And that's my driving force. So what's your emotional attachment to learning? An interesting one that people often ask me, Rowie, why do I have to learn how to take blood pressure? Doctors take blood pressure. And in a Max program, you have to learn how to do it. And I'm asking you not just learn how to do it with an electronic machine. If you can get hold of a proper sphygmometer where you put the stethoscope in your own ear and you can hear the heart rate of the person and you can actually watch the monitor on the screen, I'm excited about that, and here's the reason why. And I use the example, if there are two cars available to rent and one is automatic and one is manual, and you can't drive the manual because you didn't learn how to drive a manual, that's okay because there's an automatic you can hire. But if there's if there's only automatic cars available, that seems to be the case at the moment, and that seems to be what's happening with doctors, only automatic ways to test blood pressure. But what if you're in a situation where the only car available is a manual car, you can only drive automatic, and you've got to get somebody to the hospital or there's an emergency, and you can't drive the car because you never learnt how to drive a manual car. Now, the reason I use that as an example is it possible there could come a time where you might be on holidays on a tropical island, or you might be on holidays out in the bush hiking, and it's a third world country, and the only sphygmometer available is a manual sphygmometer, and you don't know how to use it because you didn't learn. So I'm sharing that with you because often people say to me, Rowie, why do we have to know that? And I love answering the question because there's always a reason why. The MAX program has been put together for very specific purposes and reasons, and everything in the program has a reason. So if you're not sure of the reason, please ask, because there's a very specific reason why. I would love you to learn that particular thing, or why that particular thing is in our education program. The next interesting one is people say to me, but anatomy and physiology, it's so boring. Well, if you attach it to your own body, it's probably not boring, because when you do stuff and you wonder, how did that happen and why did that work? And, how did I lose that 5 kilos off my body? Or how did my muscle get bigger? Or how come what happens inside my body when I drink water? Or why do I get drunk when I drink alcohol? Or why do we poo and wee? Really interesting questions, and they're all anatomy and physiology. But here's a great story. I had a beautiful girl on the Gold Coast who was a MAX student, and she shared with me openly and honestly that she found it difficult to learn anatomy and physiology because it's Latin. It's an interesting language. It's literally a dead language. It hasn't changed, and it's the same in every country. So that's one of the cool things about learning your anatomy and physiology, that a lot of it's learning Latin. You can say that, I'm learning Latin. Anyway, Melanie said to me, I don't like school. I find it hard to learn, and I'm finding it difficult to learn my anatomy. So my suggestion was, as it should be for everybody, what's your favourite way to learn? Do you learn by doing, by touching, by tasting, by smelling? There's all different ways to learn. She had a gorgeous boyfriend, and the suggestion then came to, and she loved to touch and feel. So my suggestion was, get a whole heap of coloured textures, get your boyfriend naked and start drawing the muscles and bones on his body, and use it. Have the book in front of you or have the screen in front of you and draw it. Okay, this is the latissimus dorsi, and this is the origin, and this is the insertion. This is pectoralis major, this is the origin insertion. And draw it on his body, physically draw it on there. Well, a very cool part to that story, or the end of the story, is we used to have a big long exam, which we don't anymore because it's a silly way to learn. You can Google origin, insertion and action of muscles. But, and I'll rephrase, the application of that is far more important than just learning something to pass a test. But this particular day, Melanie was doing the test and she had a big smile on her face. And I said, how come you're smiling so widely? And she said, Rowie, do you remember how I learnt my anatomy and physiology? And she didn't just learn it. She remembered it because of the way that she learnt it. And that's my big question. I'm a smell person, and I'm a hearing person. I remember stuff. I can be out running 10 kilometres from my house listening to something, and when I hear it again, I remember it because I remember where I was when I heard it. So I'm obviously an auditory learner. But I also remember things by smell, and I also remember things by music. So I have a very distinct memory of all the music concerts I've been to, and we remember words of songs, yeah? Because why is that? You don't remember words or anatomy, but when you go to a concert and you haven't heard a song for 10 years, you remember the words, the exact words of the song. Well, obviously your brain, if that happens to you, can learn by music. I had another student who learnt by poetry, and she did all of her MAX missions in poetry form. It's a beautiful book she presented to me, and she did everything from anatomy, physiology, exercise programming, nutrition, marketing, business setup. Everything was in a poem. It was magnificent because obviously her brain learnt by using rhyme. And that's what I'm asking you to do. Is it smell? Is it touch? Is it taste? Do you need to turn your anatomy into a song? Do you need to write a book? Some people draw pictures. I've got some students who illustrate. They draw beautiful children's books and they write about anatomy and physiology and exercise programming and nutrition and how to set up a business as if they were writing a children's book, which makes it beautifully easy to understand and very simple. And that's probably one of the best ways to think about how can I teach this to somebody else, which is my next suggestion. When you're learning something, we often learn very selfishly. I have to learn this to pass the test, or I have to learn this to succeed. What about if you learn to help other people succeed? What if your headspace is, I want to help the people in my life to understand how to be healthy, fit and strong for the rest of their lives? I want to be able to explain to my family how they don't have to get cardiovascular disease, or they don't have to get type 2 diabetes, or they never have to have a heart attack, or they never have to be overweight, or how easy it is to be healthy, fit and strong, or to eat healthy food. How do I make it as simple as possible to explain it to my family, to my friends, to my clients, to make it really easy to understand? So when you do your Max missions, for example, at the Max International Colleges, everything is called a real life scenario. There's no tests anymore. There's no exams. There's no tick the box questions. It's simply, and I'll just go back a step, we have quizzes at the Max program which aren't designed to test your knowledge. This is a really important point. They're designed to make sure that you watched or listened to the session, because the information and the knowledge of how to be a top-level exercise professional or a business professional are in the session. So if you don't watch the session, if you don't listen to the session, you don't get the information. So the quizzes at the end of each session are designed to make sure that you watched the session. So yes, we have a quiz at the end of every session, but the final knowledge checks, and that's what I call them, we need to check your knowledge. We need to know that you know what you need to know to be a top-level exercise professional or business professional. Your clients deserve to know that you know, and I often suggest to people, print off your final knowledge check at Max and put it on your website. Put it out on your coffee table in your exercise studio or in your business, so that your clients can see what you had to learn, what you have to know, what you need to understand, what you need to be able to explain simply because of your education. And this is the whole program at Max is designed to give you everything you need. And these are the 4 areas: how to get healthy, fit and strong and stay that way for the rest of your life; how to have a career or business that you love and it's successful and profitable; how to be financially free; and how to have great relationships with yourself, with all the people in your life, your members, your clients, your family, your friends. That's the Max program. And that's the whole purpose of, and I'll go a step further. Wouldn't it be great if all education was based on those 4 things? Wouldn't it be great if we got out of school knowing how to be healthy, fit and strong and help other people to be healthy, fit and strong? Wouldn't it be great if we got out of school with all the skills, tools and knowledge that we need to be able to open a business or have a successful career? Wouldn't it be great to get out of school and know how to be financially free? And wouldn't it be great to finish school and say, I have a really good understanding of how to build respectful, kind, loving relationships with all of the people in my life? So I'm very proud of the Max program, obviously, and it's continually being developed every single day, obviously. That's what I'm doing today. Every day I learn something, which is why every day I'm chatting with you, sharing with you, wanting to give you everything that I've learnt so that we can all learn together. So the reason, though, that you can learn, and I'll wrap them up very beautifully, if you don't sit down, you're more likely to learn more effectively. If you choose a beautiful space to learn, you're more likely to learn and remember. If you get fresh air and sunshine, you're more likely to take the information on board and remember it. If you get really puffed, and you sprint really hard before you start learning, you're more likely to remember it because your brain will fill up with brain-derived neurotropic factor. If you have a great reason to learn, and this is a really important thing, we all have different reasons, but what are your reasons to learn? Is it to help your family? Is it to have your own ripped abdominals? Is it to win a sporting event? Is it to have a successful business or career? Is it to help your kids to have a successful business or career? What's your driving force? Why do you want to do this? So that you don't study to pass the test and you don't study to get the qualification, but you study because you've got a purpose and a reason and a passion for whatever it is that you're learning. Then find out the best way for you to learn. Is it by watching? Is it by listening? Is it by doing? Is it by smelling, touching, tasting, cooking, singing, poetry, Put everything you need to learn into your manner of learning so that you can really relate to it and get excited by it. I would love a musician to put the entire Max learning program into a song and then sing it to everybody. Wouldn't that be awesome? So if you're a musician and you're driven with that musical genius, put the human body into a song. Put the marketing plan for your business into a song. And you'll remember it because, of course, if you are driven by music, you'll remember the words to the song forever. And it'll be a more exciting reason to learn. I don't want learning to ever be boring or monotonous or hard. And a lot of people share with me, oh, but I go to university and it's so boring. And I always say, well, why did you go to university? And that's usually where the conversation comes to a really horrible halt. I don't know. That's usually the answer I get. I got the right marks at high school, or I hope I can get a good job when I finish this degree, or my parents said I should do this degree. I hope that's not the reason you're learning, because I can't imagine how boring that would be and how horrible that would be or how hard that would be. I learn every single day and I listen to boring, horrible, long university lecturers, but I get excited by what they're saying. They're not very good at saying it, and there's a challenge. If you ever go into university lecturing, please don't be boring. Please be interested and excited and passionate. And maybe that's the thing. If you're lecturing about, talking about, doing the stuff that you're excited and passionate about, then people will be driven by this beautiful word, passion. Pass I on. If you've got passion and you can share that with other people, then they will feel it. You'll be passing I on, passing your passion on. So learn for the right reasons, learn in the right places, learn in the right environment, learn in the way that suits you, learn at the speed that suits you. And I'll just wrap up with that one. We all learn at different speeds. And that's the beautiful thing now of being able to rewind and fast forward. It's the beautiful thing about being able to read versus watch versus listen and do it outside, inside. You can learn everywhere at your speed. You don't have to be in a classroom where some people learn really fast because they know about that particular topic already, and other people want to slow down and learn it slowly. To me, that's why classrooms are just ridiculous. Why would you put 20 or 30 or more people in a room and hope that they're all going to get it? We all learn at different speeds for different reasons. We learn in different ways, and we learn better in different environments. We even learn better at different days and times of the day. Some people learn much better in the morning, and some people don't even light up till 9 o'clock at night. So that's why the Max program is the way it is. Study where it suits you, at a time that suits you, at a speed that suits you, with the people that suit you. And most importantly, pick your favourite place and go study there and learn with passion and enthusiasm and excitement for the right reasons. If you are becoming a business professional or an exercise professional because you want to have a successful, profitable life, you want to be healthy, fit and strong for the rest of your life and help other people to be the same. If you want to be financially free so you never have to worry about money ever again, and if you want to have respectful relationships with all of the people in your life, then obviously if you're in the Max program, you're in the right place. If you haven't got all of those things wrapped up into your education program, please make sure that you find one that gives you all of those things. Everything that you need to have the life that you want to live. Isn't that why we learn? Isn't that why we study? Isn't that why we get education? So that we can get better at the things that we love. So let's do it in a way that we love, at a time that we love, and let's inspire other people to learn too because we love it. Wouldn't that be awesome? I feel good, because I learn every day. Yeah, I love learning, yes, and look where I learn. Look at this, it's the snowy mountains and the garden, and it's amazing. Woohoo!